Hi to folks that are joining now. We're just going to leave a minute or two for people to get settled in here, and we'll kick it off. Okay, we're going to get started here. First, just want to welcome everyone to this CreatorIQ webinar focused on affiliate creator, building affiliate creator partnerships. So before I start, I just wanted to cover off, or we start, just wanted to cover off a couple of housekeeping items. We do have the Q&A open. So there's a Q&A down at the bottom. Feel free to post questions in there. We're going to try to leave some room at the end of the webinar to try to address all the questions or just be able to answer them along the way as well. And then we also have the chat open at the bottom. So right now we have close to 100 folks on the webinar. So feel free to use the chat. I'm sure we have lots of experts and experienced affiliate creator marketers on the call. So with that, we're going to start to dive right in. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Mike Balducci. I'm the general manager of affiliate e-commerce and payment solutions. Sometimes we refer to that as our commerce solutions. So I cover off our partnerships with affiliate platforms and payment platforms, as well as the products and services that we offer to our brand and agency customers and partners to enable them to implement and scale performance-based partnerships with creators. So I'm joined by two exceptional and talented market research professionals from Ipsos, who I'll turn over so that they can each introduce themselves. Christina?
Thanks so much, Mike. My name is Christina Kanzler. I'm VP of Online Communities, and we'll be presenting today with Holly to bring the voice of the creator to life. We work at Ipsos, a global marketing research company with multiple specializations. We work within the online communities team, which leverages an integrated approach, both qual and quant methodologies to help brands get closer to the consumers, guiding strategic consumer centric decisions. And my passion is really to provide impactful solutions that really feature an immersive understanding of the consumer.
And I'm Holly Lake Hoagland. I work with Christy as a director in our online communities. I also come with a deep love of media and technology, as well as over 15 years of using research to dig into motivations for why people do the things they do and answer the questions of why.
Great, thanks. So just moving on. So I want to kind of set the stage here, just give you all some background about this project. So just kind of going back towards the end of 2022, we really started seeing our brand clients in particular focus or turn their focus to performance-based outcomes with creators. And so a few things were sort of happening in the market that drove that. One, AIP was really ramping up. So that's the Amazon Influencer Program. I think anyone in the industry would recognize that they were having, really strong revenue result from that program. And that was definitely creating a lot of industry buzz. And then the second thing that happened towards the end of 2022 was that Walmart launched their affiliate creator program, which also created a lot of buzz in the industry. So now fast forward through 2023, and just through our lens of CreatorIQ and our customer base, we've seen dozens and dozens of our brand partners successfully launch and scale their own direct-to-creator affiliate programs. So some, of course, had better results than others, and so we decided to partner with Ipsos late last year to conduct a deeper dive market research into the minds and motivations of successful creators and their experiences with brand affiliate marketing programs specifically. So what we found is that, of course, affiliate creators want and desire deeper, sort of more lasting, sustainable partnerships with brands that just not only enable them the opportunity to earn through an affiliate model, but also through other opportunities. And so that's actually really great news, we think, for brands, because long-term partnerships, as we know, deliver a much better result over time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Ipsos team here on the call and let them take you through the results of that research.
Thanks, Mike. So the kind of big picture is, so what did we find at a high level? So what we found is similar to how creators feel about their relationships with their followers, where the ideas of transparency, accountability, and long-term partnerships are very important. They use these same concepts in how they think about their brand relationships as well. I kind of want to touch really quickly on each of these and a little bit of what some of the sources of frustration for creators are in this space. Now, affiliate programs tend to provide information that focus on brand objectives. They're not always transparent with the information creators need, and that creates some frustration in places like little or no access to measures. So how do they know how well it's going? Vague, missing guidelines on content need. How do they make sure they're creating a great product? No feedback on campaign or content, kind of not allowing them an opportunity to course correct, and no context for the campaign's brand goals, which again helps really impact what they're doing and how well they're doing it. While frustrations and accountability really look at things like little or no consequences for brands on things like changing requirements in the campaign midway, poor communication on those expectations, timely access to the products or services they're going to be looking at, changes in pay or commission after the fact. And finally, that idea of long-term partnerships. Some affiliate programs features really reinforce this idea of transactional relationships rather than substantive. So things that looking at things like lack of onboarding or introduction or training on platforms, rigid standards or a lack of collaboration, or no ongoing support or problem solving to help them as they do their work. Now, all of these help stymie a successful and sustainable affiliate efforts. And we're going to touch on all three of these throughout the webinar. But the first thing we really wanted to dig into before that was setting some context of who was it that we talked to in this research. Now, while we did get a sample across industries and as far as follower counts and things like that, most of the survey respondents came from micro-influencers in the lifestyle and beauty topical areas. Now, this actually worked out really well because it kind of resonates with best practices, which is no longer going after those million-plus influencers and instead focusing on the smaller and mid-size influencers because of their closer connection to their follower group. What this really then does is make sure that there's a building of trust as well as credibility from the affiliate and the creator to be able to really make sure that their work and the results come through and providing a better ROI for brands overall.
So Holly, just to kind of press on this point just a bit, so the profile of these creators, lower follower count, so they're going to be less experienced in affiliate or performance marketing. And so that's exactly sort of tying back to, having, providing them resources and training and education about how to be an effective, partner in these types of relationships.
That's an excellent point. On top of that is really making sure to be able to give them what they need to make this sustainable is so very important. But on top of the demos, also kind of digging into that whole idea behind affiliate partnerships, we also really wanted to understand why. Why did they want to become affiliate partners in the first place? And you see here on the screen, there's kind of a wide range of reasons why they decided that they wanted to get involved in affiliate partnerships. And one of the important notes here is not any one of the respondents had one reason why. It was a kind of a big range and kind of peppered throughout here, ranging from their passion and wanting to share things they're interested in, all the way down to making and establishing this as their career. They tend to be motivated by the opportunity to express their creativity in different ways. They want to try new things and hone their skills and their craft through becoming brand affiliates, to their love or connections with brands and products they already use or love, all the way then to being able to grow their career, their personal brands, increasing their network, as well as gaining exposure and finally, to the opportunity to monetize their content and their creator career. So all of these, again, like I said, this is a broad mix of why people were doing the things that they wanted to do. And again, they were all doing it for multiple reasons. One last kind of important feature here is though the reasons on this slide here are actually universal truths, and they didn't vary based on follower count or vertical as well.
Great. So now that we know who they are and why they became affiliates in the first place, let's unpack a little bit more to understand what's important to these creators and how they assess these brand opportunities. Though these creators do balance various motivations during their brand engagement, they often focus on non-financial factors. Creators prioritize these non-financial factors as they prefer to work with brands and products that already align with their beliefs and values as a creator, that support their pursuit for authenticity in the content and engagement with their following. And these are table stakes to the relationship. Only then do they actually start to explore the financial benefits, the compensation structure, and those potentials for ongoing partnership. Overall, when we were talking with creators and hearing more about their considerations, 3 key themes really did emerge. The first of which centered on product. So in addition to focusing on the products they already use, they are also interested in the quality of the products and making sure that those brands align with theirs. Brand values came up because authenticity really is so vital to the creator's success. They also want to make sure that the values of the brand align with theirs and that the product's reputation won't negatively impact their own. And then finally, their desire to build long-term relationships, which is intrinsically coupled with the considerations around financial stability that's also driving their choice. So how do creators really ensure that these brands are matching what they're looking for and meeting these criteria? It's simple. They do their research. So not only do many creators conduct research on their ins and outs of affiliate marketing, these self-motivated entrepreneurs also do their homework on potential partners. Prior to accepting partnerships, creators will continue and conduct their own research, focusing on product and brand alignment, ensuring that the brand's values align with theirs and that the products and services are ones they genuinely like and really do use in their day-to-day. And this also helps assure that it aligns with the authenticity in their content and maintaining trust with their audience. And that brand credibility and reputation are also aligned with their own. They also look for positive feedback online, as well as independent reviews about the brand and their products to ensure that they're partnering with a reputable company, helping to avoid any negative experiences and maintain their own reputation. Finally, the financial opportunity, they do confirm the benefits of the partnership, including commission rate, any flat fees involved, as well as aligning in expectations, really making sure that this is a financially viable relationship that they can pursue. And that really looks to answer the big question, can I maintain my authenticity while making a profit?
So as illustrated in the types of research conducted on brands and that idea of making a profit, the second kind of finding that we saw from this research was that though financials are paramount, they're the most important thing in a lot of ways, money still matters. Now, on average, about a third of a creator's income is coming from their creator work. This is basically about the equivalent that most people spend on their housing situation. So this is not really an inconsequential amount of revenue, but also understanding the idea that creator work is work, and it takes a lot of time and effort to get it right. So it's not really as surprising that most creators are actually dissatisfied with the amount of money they're making from their affiliate programs. Well, the big question becomes is, well, why is this? And one of the things that we heard throughout the research is actually often linked into the payment structure. So they're professionals. So it's the same thing as hiring an artist to come into a coffee shop to paint a mural to increase foot traffic, or hire a graphic designer to rework your logo. You're going to pay those individuals when they create the content at that time, rather than waiting a month to make sure that people are staying longer, buying more coffee, or that the logo is now resonating with the new market segment that you're looking for 2, 4, 6 months later. So consequently, creators actually prefer a hybrid compensation model, one that includes a fixed payment for their work and a commission based on sales or engagement. This ensures they're compensated for their time and their effort, but also incentivizing them to drive results from the brand. And again, this kind of ties back to that idea then of that ongoing relationship. To continue to kind of dig into this idea that money matters, we also ask questions about commission cadence, as well as, how are they measuring success in these campaigns? Creators, though, stress a lot of those 9 financial drivers, they're actually 7 times more likely to indicate that commission cadence is more important than not important. And though this is slightly found more typically when we also looked at kind of longevity and things like that, novice creators are going to be more stressing on that cadence than those that are experienced. A lot of that probably has to do with just having that as a reliable way. But also, this kind of reinforces that idea that this is a job. And much like any other job, fair and timely compensation is incredibly important. Now, we also kind of looked at KPIs to kind of get a feel of what matters. And as we know, what we measure tends to be what matters, as the adage goes. So though primarily there was a little bit of minor differences between the creators and the brand partners on which KPIs they use, both tend to emphasize end results, often revenue-related measures, and how they're measuring success. Now, things that are kind of like in the flow measures that you would expect, so things like conversion rate, click-through rates, along those lines, were not really being tracked very often until we started to see that creator had been there for a longer rate of time. So getting, again, comfortable with this idea. Now, one of the other things that came out is that this could also be linked, this lack of kind of inflow measures, to that idea of transparency, where they may not be having access to the measures along these lines as well.
So Holly, we did have a question come up, and I think this is an important point. Is cadence equal frequency in this case?
Yes. How often, and are they getting paid at the rate, at the timeliness where they were told they were going to get paid at?
And just to kind of, press again on that point. So when the creator creates content, shares content, and that content drives the desired result, the performance result for the brand, getting paid in a timely basis after that result is generated or that content is created is really important. It's not, they're not vendors. They're not your typical media vendor where you can pay 90 days later, right?
Right. Well, especially looking at that line that this is a long-term goal for a lot of these people, is to make this their job. And it is a significant amount of money that they need to account for as far as like how they're paying their bills and things along those lines as well. And I guess a lot of this kind of goes to like, though the table stakes are those non-financial performance, non-financial drivers, there you still at least need to have that flat consideration for the financial aspects as well. All right. So I kind of wanted to shift gears just slightly at this point, and really kind of the next couple of things we're going to talk about is, so what do creators struggle with, and really what's lacking in making those partnerships sustainable? So one of the things that came out of the study is that a lot of times brands think of creators as freelancers, but they don't think of themselves that way. They think of themselves as entrepreneurs and creatives. So they tend to struggle with those one and done opportunities with brands because it reduces a lot of things. It reduces their ability to have this as a long-term career, but also building trust and that ongoing engagement with their audience. And that in and of itself has a negative impact potentially on purchases and the whole purpose of working with them as far as being affiliates. So looking at kind of, we asked them what their top challenges were. And what we really found is that they fell into, again, 3 kind of buckets here. And the first is that idea of that ongoing relationship. A lot of times they're struggling with getting additional opportunities instead of that one-time relationship or that one-time opportunity. Evolving that relationship to something that involves ongoing campaigns where they're able to build that credibility with their audience to have a higher rate of purchases. And also then lack of direct contact with the brands themselves is something a lot of creatives are struggling with. And all of this really stymies their long-term goals as well as the long-term goals of the brand itself. And the second one is that idea of authenticity. So engaging their audience. with affiliate content for purchase, maintaining their own creative freedom, as well as their personal reputation. And those struggles, what they really do is impact the efficacy of the work that they're doing for brands. And then the last one is really that idea of brand support. They want substantive support from the affiliate programs to help them. And really what this is going to do in the long run is make them be able to do the best job possible for the brands that they're working with. Now, we kind of touched about those first two, authenticity and ongoing relationships, a little bit more so in this presentation. Christy, would you want to take us through then a little bit more information on that last idea and that last theme of support?
Absolutely. And this actually echoes one of the comments we just saw in the chat. They definitely do need training, especially considering this audience does kind of skew a little bit more on the novice side, to Mike's earlier point. We did ask more about what kinds of support these creators usually receive. And what we found is that the affiliate programs tend to focus on transactional support that's only really necessary to execute the opportunity. This means that they tend to provide opportunity lists, links, discount codes for the affiliates. However, few programs really do focus on the affiliates experience, which requires fundamental support that creators need to solve problems and continue their growth. We're teaching them as they are learning, and it really provides a mutually beneficial relationship. In other words, providing support that a partner would, right? So creators are certainly lacking support and resources pertaining to access to educational resources and best practices that would promote this ongoing pursuit of learning and improve their efforts, making them more lucrative and mutually beneficial. Assistance resolving technical problems, which often lack accountability and don't give them anywhere to escalate their concerns or frustrations or questions to get assistance to resolve any problems, as well as to reach out to dedicated support staff and assistance resolving those issues regarding payment, as well as access to the marketing platform for campaign management, communications, and as we mentioned earlier, to understand the KPIs to track the efficacy of those relationships. All of this really does reinforce that they think of this as a job, and they take that very seriously. So now that we've heard,
sorry, Christine, I just wanted to just say one tactic that we've seen work really well in terms of the educational resources, show them what good looks like, right? Yep. Share with them the top performing content, in the network or the community on a regular basis so they can see what good looks like.
Absolutely. Having tips and tricks available, understanding maybe what has been productive in the past to use to model against would certainly be something that these creators would be open to creating a dialogue around. So now that we've heard their struggles, let's look to how to address some of these in building a mindful long-term relationship that you can kind of continually capitalize on over time. Mike, do you want to walk us through?
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah,
absolutely. I was just
clicking out of mute. My apologies. So sort of 4 keys to creating sustainable relationships with creators, right? So partner with the creators who use and like your products. That's key, right? You have data about your customers. That data can be used to discover creators within that base, and you can actively invite and recruit those creators into your program. And then secondly, enable direct relationships. So there's platforms out there, affiliate platforms, networks that you may have offers and opportunities on, but that's requiring the creator to join your program through a network. Ideally, you want to have a direct relationship with that creator where you control the entire supply chain, right? From how that creator is onboarded into the program, how they're activated in your program, communicating directly with them through that program, having no sort of distractions in the middle. Third, we touched on this quite a bit. So that product training and support is really important, giving the creators the resources they need, the education. It's kind of, if you were hiring a sales associate, you wouldn't just throw them in. You'd spend a lot of time training them. So think about it in terms of how you do that at scale. And then fourth, creating more of a partnership. It's not an affiliate sort of transactional relationship. It's really creating a partnership. And so certainly you can, try to deploy sort of hybrid models, but also, creators in these programs aspire to be ambassadors for your brand and your products. And so, giving them those opportunities, those top performers in the program or those creators in that program that have lots of runway to become a top performer, giving those opportunities will really, really, cement those partnerships. And, we like to make a sort of correlation. So we talk at CreatorIQ, Connor, our chief strategy officer, talks a lot about EMV. And one of the drivers of EMV within your community is what we refer to as creator retention. So the same holds true for these scaled, affiliate creator programs. The top performing creators are posting, week over week, month over month, right? You're retaining them in the program and they have the best result. So think about how you keep those creators engaged and retained, month to month, year to year. So I think with that, we're going to move on to the next slide. So just to chat a little bit about the report is coming out next week. So the full report. So I think as that'll be sent to all the webinar attendees, so you can see all the raw data and details from that report. You can also contact us, to learn more. Either the Ipsos team be happy to answer any questions directly. So Christina's so kindly provided her email contact information there, and you can certainly talk to anyone at our team as well at CreatorIQ. So it looks like we do have a couple of questions. So let's see. So from Michelle, so she has a question about sharing integrations and sponsorships that have performed well on other creators' channels. So if I'm reading that correctly, so we did mention, an opportunity to educate and train creators is showing them what good looks like. So showing them creators that are posting about your products and content, and that content is getting engagement and down lower funnel performance, and reporting that out, or showing those creators what that type of good looks like. So creators that have produced content that drives the result you're looking for, and sharing that with them. Creators follow creators, and they learn and are educated from doing that. So that's what we mean there. So hopefully that answers that question. And it looks like we've got some folks confirming as well that this aligns with what they've learned in the community, or managing their specific programs. So question, how do you navigate these 4 key points when creators more often than not are represented by agencies? So that's a great question. There are certainly a segment of creators that are represented by talent agencies. And I think if you go back to the, an initial point that was revealed in the research, is that the types of creators that are willing to partner with you in these types of models, these performance-based models, are typically not going to be creators that have agency representation. So, I think it was, Holly, 50,000 followers or less, generally in that range. Typically we don't see those creators having agency representation. I will tell you from experience with, some of our clients, targeting creators that have hundreds of thousands of followers and sort of classify into that sort of macro classification or celebrity classification. Those aren't typically the creators that are going to respond and want to, join, these types of programs. And those are typically the ones that have talent agencies. So if you're targeting creators that have talent agencies, I would suggest maybe thinking about going a little bit down market, if you will, to these micro nano creators that are really aspiring to get to that level, but understand that their opportunity to that is in working with you as a brand is going to be through this initial performance-based partnership. So with that, it looks like there's a couple more questions coming in from Sophia. So do you have a recommendation on how to balance prioritizing the affiliate experience, direct one-to-one comms, while trying to significantly scale the number of affiliates within a program, especially if it's a small internal team and bandwidth could be an issue. So that's a very good point. So you definitely need to have a platform partner. Obviously, we'd love that to be CreatorIQ, to help you manage, one-to-many communications. That's absolutely critical that you get that sort of base technology set up and able to scale with your program. So I like to, I come from a long history of digital marketing and performance marketing. And, over the course of my career, I've seen many what would appear to be very, on paper, look like an exciting digital marketing campaign, and only to have it, fail miserably because it wasn't set up correctly in the first place. So that sort of applies here. Focus on making sure that you get that program set up correctly where you can, scale. Some of the programs on our platform have thousands and thousands of creators actively in them. And so, and those are managed by just a handful of folks, internally at the brand or through an agency partner. So it's definitely possible, but it definitely takes some upfront technology investment to make that happen.
I say on that note, like in the research, one of the things that kind of supported that was, but to be able to make that work well, I mean, you'd have to have that onboarding, you have to have resources on how to use the platform, all of that's at their fingertips to make it. If they have the information they need to use that platform effectively, then it's going to reduce the amount of time on your end, as far as like answering those one-off questions from a large swath of people.
Yep. Okay, so keeping the questions coming in, which is great. So Peyton, does CreatorIQ have the capability to generate discount codes that can be used on the client's D2C websites for affiliates? It's a very specific question. I say the answer depends. The answer depends. And I always like to say, take a step back from sort of that really granular, like, feature use case and really assess what result are you trying to get from that, right? Are you trying to get a result, an affiliate result from a promo code? Are you trying to get a product result? So I guess it depends, so we can definitely support some of that, but we can follow up with you, Peyton, and get into more specifics there. Just scanning through the webinar chat. Let's see. What brands are doing this really well? I think, Bill, that's a great question. I mean, I did reference, Amazon influencer. Obviously, they're doing that very, very well. We're seeing, just as an Amazon user, that content that network is producing is now sprinkled all over their user experience, right? From product pages, even from the homepage in the app, you can now browse AIP content. So, they're sort of like the sort of North Star, in my opinion, of where brands and retailers and should be aspiring to. And can't give any specific insights into programs on our platform, but these are what we covered today. I think really are the sort of key things that you need to focus on to have a successful program. And it also really depends on sort of where your brand's at, and its sort of evolution, right? The earlier stage brands have sort of different challenges versus the later stage brands. So, yeah, so can get into more details as a follow-up if you're interested. We have another question, and this one might be good, Holly or Christina. What types of content do you want to see more of in 2024? Was there anything in the research around content or platforms that resonated?
I'd say,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as far as like kind of looking at where they were doing their own research.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, like I said earlier, they're doing their own research on how to be a better affiliate, how to do things right. And a lot of them are going to their peers. They love going to conferences, both online and in person, TikTok, a lot of video. is still kind of a lot of places where they're going to get their education from their peers in general. Podcast is probably also particularly useful for specific groups, but yeah, that's where they were getting most of their best practices and sharing and learning from, was those spaces.
Yeah, absolutely echoing Holly's point. I don't think they're looking for anything new necessarily. It's really just about continuing to look to the resources that have provided that impactful information, and they understand the value of their time. So they're always looking for efficiencies to streamline that process. So they're naturally on these platforms, and they know and have relationships with other creators that are also producing content there. So I think it's a natural avenue for them to look for that information.
Yeah. Lucy asks, do we have a recommendation around communicating the value of a gifted affiliate campaign when brands do not have the budget to provide a flat fee? Certainly gifting can be valuable, certainly to attract creators into a program. But I think one of the points that was made in the presentation around, compensation, and these types of programs represent nearly a third of the creators' overall compensation. They're generally looking for cash. Certainly that can be paid through commissions, if budgets are tight, but the key is having a pathway, as clear as possible to opportunities to make additional compensation through the program just beyond, straight commission. I think commission, that's the important point. And I've seen brands try to launch, affiliate creator programs that look more like a customer loyalty program, right? Where customers are satisfied with store value as their compensation, right? If I refer Christina, I get a $20 credit or whatever, but that's not really applicable here, right? Because these creators are, entrepreneurial, and they're small businesses, so, generally a single proprietor small business, and they're looking for cash compensation as much as possible. So start with commissions and show, and hopefully, that program can scale to where you can afford to pay out additional fee-based compensation. And that looks like it. Oh, one more question. Let's see. This one's tough. Let's see. Ideally, further out, 2024 is probably not going to be a banner year, unfortunately. What type of stuff will we see in a decade, do you hope? That's a great question. I had this question. I wish we could predict the future. It was interesting. One question, we were at Creator Economy Live last week, and a question came up, like, sort of what's our prediction? My personal prediction, which I'll share here. And when my personal prediction is that these creators that are working with brands in these types of partnerships, those brands at scale, just like Amazon has, right? So, the Amazon is essentially becoming a social network, right? So if you go onto the Amazon app, you can essentially scroll through stories or reels, videos of creators that are using products that they love and they got through Amazon. So I think I wouldn't be surprised to see, and I don't have any specific insight in the Walmart creator, but I wouldn't be surprised to see these larger, retailers and brands enable their creators to publish content on their platform. So sort of brands, retailers becoming social media platforms, I think, is my prediction. Hopefully not 10 years out, but in the next few years, you'll see more and more of that. I don't know, Christina or Holly, if you guys have any thoughts on sort of the future here.
Yeah, I mean, that what you're saying is already happening, right? I think a lot of apps are looking to emulate the super apps that are happening in Japan right now. And so, like, similar to how TikTok has expanded to the shop, I think we're going to see a lot of streamlining in the platform and the use cases, to be that one-stop shop for the consumer, for the creator. And to your point, definitely expands beyond social to the retailer spectrum as well.
Yeah. I'm somewhat lucky. I have some Gen Zers that live with me. My children are Gen Zers, and and I actually watch how they shop online and consume content, and I think they're going to be going to brands for social media. you know, for this type of content. So we'll see. We'll see. Well, with that, I
Yeah.
think we're going to close it out. So I'd like really thank Holly and Christina and the Ipsos team for partnering with us on this research, and thanks to everyone that joined. I think we peaked at over 120 attendees, so great. And so keep an eye on your emails for the follow-up report next week, and feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. Hopefully everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you
your
all.
time. Thanks, Mike.